Hey, it's Andy Branton here with 5 things I wish someone would have told me when I first started my musical journey, or a career, if you want to call it that. Number one is I wish someone had taught me proper driving posture. And I know this sounds crazy, but it's true. I have way more time behind a windshield than I do with a guitar strapped on. And I formed habits when I was like 15 years old that are still coming back to bite me today. So I'm not going to teach you proper driving posture because I'm still a work in progress. But there are tons of videos out there that I refer to before I go on a long drive to make sure that when I get where I'm going, I don't have to bathe myself in Tiger Balm. Okay, thing two. I wish someone would have told me that my why, my reason for doing this, would probably change and that was okay. So when I first started out on the journey as a little kid, before I ever conceived of like being an adult and playing guitar and writing songs, I did it because I wanted to connect with my family, right? My grandmother played piano, my uncle played piano. It was a big family get-together activity, was to get together and, play and sing tunes, right? And when I got a little older, I did it just because I was good at it, right? It was one of those things that I seemed to be naturally pretty good at. So I kept going. But then I moved to college and people would pay me to play guitar. And then I played guitar because I loved money so much. But then I moved to Louisville and, started thinking about trying to grow my musical career and what I might want to do differently and how I could make it have a little bit longer legs and a lot more longevity. And at that point, the why became a lot more about connecting with the audience and putting out really great art and a little bit less about money. That's okay, right? And it's totally fine if my whys continue to evolve. And these things aren't mutually exclusive, right? I might wake up in a couple of years and say, well, I play guitar because I want to connect with my family and also I want to make bukus of money. And maybe I will, maybe I won't. That's okay. Okay, the third thing that I wish someone had told me when I first started out on this musical journey, on making this a career, is I wish people had told me that I needed to surround myself with friends and not just with coworkers. So my wife, when she sees this, she'll laugh because from the moment I met her, she told me this. But I was already pretty far down the river when I met her as far as musical career goes. I already had some maybe habits that I needed to break. And so what I mean by coworkers versus friends is that I've played music with a bunch of people. I've played a lot of gigs, and some folks are really good friends of mine from the first time I met them, or it took us a minute to get to know each other. But some folks were just coworkers. We showed up and played a gig together, and we might never see each other again, or we might not really hang out outside of that. And that's okay. But I didn't do a good job of surrounding myself and seeking out gigs with those people who were my people, right? The people who were my friends, who, even if the gig went poorly, didn't matter because I was with my friends. And the secret is, typically when I was with my friends, the gig didn't go poorly. The gigs went better. They felt better, and the crowd could feel that, right? The musical notes we played were somehow better. They were sweeter. They were hotter. They were faster. They were, they had more feeling. Okay, number 4 is a really big one and still a work in progress for me. My art, your art, if you're watching this, is valuable just because it exists. I wish someone had told me not to seek internal or external validation about whether my art was good or bad or worth creating or worth doing. The fact that I did it is enough. It's not about what someone else thinks, right? It's not about accolades, and it's certainly not about cash, right? It is about putting out something in the world that has feeling, that has creativity. That's all. And that's enough. That's okay. Okay, number 5. This is our last one, but it's a very important one. Maybe I saved the best for last. Maybe I didn't. The stakes are much lower than you think. I wish someone would have told me that. Maybe some people did try to tell me that. I don't know. I don't remember. But I used to think that every gig and every opportunity was the biggest deal ever. Not like in terms of what it could do for me, but in terms of the stakes, right? What I could do to screw it up. There was a lot of runway for me to screw something up, right? I had a lot of pitfalls, a lot of things I could do wrong. And that's just not true. The stakes are not that high. Most things don't move the needle that much in either direction, and that's okay. It's fine. It turns out I did at the time have undiagnosed ADHD and anxiety, for which I'm now medicated, so that could have had something to do with it. But I was pretty high strung. I was really concerned with, perfectionism and having to do everything all the time exactly the right way. There's just not a lot of value in that. So I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Recently, I had a road gig where I was traveling pretty far, and I couldn't get my regular guys to play on the gig in the band. But I was committed to playing full band. So I asked around, and eventually I got an old friend of mine named Angelo Sandoval from Florence, Alabama, to play drums on the gig. But that was it. It was just me on guitar and vocals, just him on drums. We didn't rehearse, right? We promised these folks a full band show, and they got it, right? They got some Black Keys-esque rock and roll stuff with some country blues thrown in. And it was great. They loved it. And hopefully we'll go back and I'll bring a bass player this time, maybe even, a keyboard player or a steel player, but maybe not. And it'll be okay. So once again, I'm Andy Branton, and these have been the 5 things that I wish somebody had told me when I first started my music career.